go to film school with our good friend Joe Fortunato. And we're going to go back to the mid-90s. I simply think it's just a great flick. Hard to believe it's 30 years of age, and we'll bring in Joe Fortunato to do that. Joe, but before we get into this week's, great job last week as we went on the road with film school down at Jelly's Music Room and had just a wonderful crowd settle in for your performance with film school with Jaws. Well done, my friend.
Oh, thanks so much, Ray, and thanks for everybody that came out to that. And we're going to do it again, I believe, in December. We're still talking dates and movies, but be on the lookout for that. And I had a wonderful time. Love sharing my love of Jaws with everybody. Hope people had a good time and learned something, and look forward to doing it again.
Yeah, it was fabulous. And, boy, we had a huge crowd down there on Saturday, and that was great to see. All right, take us back to 1994, my friend. This is a great one.
Yeah, this is a big one. This is Forrest Gump, which was released July 6th, 1994. So this is its 30th anniversary year, believe it or not. Directed by Robert Zemeckis, written by Winston Groom and Eric Roth. Of course, it stars Tom Hanks, as well as Sally Field, Robin Wright, Gary Sinise. This was nominated for 13 Oscars, which is way, way up there. It won 6, including Best Picture. It won for actor Tom Hanks, director, writing, editing, visual effects. So one of the most decorated movies of all time, really. And the AFI listed it as the 76th greatest movie of all time. But sometimes the movie gods give it and they take it away, because it was also named as one of the 20 most overrated movies of all time by Premiere Magazine. And I think we mentioned that when we talked about Field of Dreams. We're going to have to take a look at that list one of these days.
Yeah.
But Tom Hanks is only the second actor to get 2 Best Picture or Best Actor awards 2 years in a row. Spencer Tracy had done it years and years before that. And you'll recall Tom Hanks had won the Oscar the year before with Philadelphia. So 2-time Oscar winner Tom Hanks. It was the second highest grossing film of 1994, behind The Lion King. Yes, animation always seems to win. And it was Robert Zemeckis' highest grossing film other than Back to the Future. So very successful all around for everybody, for the studio, the filmmakers, everybody. The movie line, Mama always said life is like a box of chocolates. That was voted the number 40 movie quote of all time by the American Film Institute. And just to show you how much a part of the culture the film has become, the fictional shrimp emporium that Forrest Gump starts in the movie Bubba Gump Shrimp is now a real themed restaurant in over 33 locations around the world. So art imitating life, and I've been to one. I don't remember which. It was in California somewhere, but I'm sure other people have as well. But real life, coming from the movies. Well, like I said, it was very successful, but the studio imposed budget cuts on this, and both director Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks decided to waive a large part of their fee in exchange for percentage points on the back end, which ultimately netted Hanks about $40 million. So it was a very lucrative day for him, getting the points on the success of the movie rather than just a flat payday. Tom Hanks he had signed on after reading the script, but he was only going to take the role if they were going to make it historically accurate, and he wanted to use that Southern accent, and he actually learned the accent from the young boy who played, or the young man who played young Forrest, and that was his sort of real accent. So he was just mimicking him, and they kind of said, "No, I don't know if we like this accent," but they were kind of insistent, and of course, it's really become legendary. That young man's name was Michael Connor Humphreys, by the way, who played young Forrest, and the line, "My name is Forrest Gump. People call me Forrest Gump." That was ad-libbed by Tom Hanks. So Robert Zemeckis said, "Hey, that's pretty great, very much in character. Let's keep that in."
The one thing, and you touched on it, Joe, that I love about this movie is not only the fun, the comedy, the family and growing up, but I do love the history aspect. And my goodness, some just terrific editing when you talk about this movie. And this is 30 years ago of putting him in front of JFK, and we can go on and on. But just a great job of editing in this movie.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, it did win Best Editing Oscar, but and visual effects. So the visual effects were very unique at the time. Although I will say this, some big movie fans might remember a movie back in I believe it was 1980, 81. I could have my years wrong, but called Zelig by Woody Allen that kind of did the same thing. So we give a lot of credit to Forrest Gump, as we should, but there were instances of this kind of being inserted into history as well, and they were so attention. They had so much attention to the detail. Here's an example: when Forrest calls to report the Watergate burglary, it was just a little tiny scene. The security guard answering the phone says, "Security, Frank Wills," and that was the actual guard on duty that night. That was the name of the guard, Frank Willis, at Watergate. So even just little details like that. I talked about the visual effects, and one of the bigger ones, besides putting him in historical places, was Gary Sinise's lower legs. And of course, he loses his legs in Vietnam in the movie, and his legs were wrapped in a special blue fabric that then allowed them to be digitally removed later by industrial light and magic, sort of a blue screen effect, if you will. And speaking of Lieutenant Dan and that character, Gary Sinise has done so much good work based on that character. He's formed a foundation for injured war veterans. It raises about $30 million a year to this day. It has 12 private jets that flies veterans and sick children to various locations around the world. Gary Sinise has really put himself out there personally in support of veterans based on his portrayal of Lieutenant Dan.
Robin Wright as Jenny, and this certainly put her into the forefront, and she was terrific in the role.
Yeah, and we always like to talk about casting when we can. Some of the other people you're right, it did put her on the map. Some of the other people that turned down that role: Jodie Foster, Nicole Kidman, Demi Moore, all turned down that role. For the role of Bubba, Forrest pal, Army pal, David Alan Grier, Ice Cube, and Dave Chappelle, Tupac Shakur auditioned for the role. Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, all were considered. So, a lot of what might have been. Harry Anderson, I don't know if you remember Harry Anderson. He was on Night Court. That was Zemeckis' first choice for Forrest Gump, but he was unavailable because he was doing the Dave's World TV series at the time. Some other people that turned down the role: Bill Murray, John Travolta, Chevy Chase, John Goodman as well. You might think, well, John Goodman doesn't look the part. Well, he does actually, because in the book, in the original novel, Forrest Gump is a big, hefty man. So Tom Hanks actually went in a different direction with that.
Great movie, Forrest Gump, 1994, going back 30 years ago. Might be a good weekend to play catch-up with Forrest Gump as well, because that's one that doesn't burn. It's always enjoyable, and I know that the generations of my kids, they've all enjoyed the film. Film School with Joe Fortunato, film study professor, taking us back to Forrest Gump. Joe, as always, my friend, always look forward to the visits. Thank you for the time, and we'll do it again next week.